Now, this part is important. NEUs must submit project and expenditure reports quarterly or annually to Treasury, depending on the size of their SLFRF allocation. Right now, we will briefly go over the reporting requirements, and you're encouraged to review the full compliance and reporting guidance for the SLFRF program, which is again linked in the chat, and you can see the cover of the guide here on the screen. As we mentioned earlier, the required reports help Treasury determine recipient compliance with the terms and conditions of the SLFRF award. In addition, the reports assist Treasury in assessing the effectiveness of the program and making informed policy decisions. Now, please note that you should include as much detail as possible in reporting, particularly as it relates to the reporting of the use of funds under the revenue loss eligible use category, and that is expenditure category or EC 6.1 projects, if that is selected. Second, NEUs are required to satisfy the SLFRF reporting requirements and continue to report regardless of how much they have expended, and that will be until award closeout is initiated in the portal. Pursuant to 2 CFR Part 25, recipients must also maintain a current and active registration in SAM.gov until the recipient submits all final reports required under this federal award.
Again, if you were invited to this webinar, you most likely have already received a notice of noncompliance for your 2024 project and expenditure report. And we're conducting this webinar specifically to share information to assist you with coming back into compliance. Now, this is the key part, resolving recipient noncompliance. It is imperative that you review the noncompliance notice as soon as possible to take the necessary steps to provide the necessary documentation or requested information to Treasury. Once the outstanding compliance report has been submitted, or once the additional details or requested documentation has been provided and reviewed by Treasury, we may consider the noncompliance resolved. As a reminder, I do want to note that throughout this process, recipients must continue their regular reporting cadence. And again, if you have not yet submitted your SLFRF 2024 annual project and expenditure report, there is still an opportunity for you to get that completed, but time is running out because once the next report is open, the previous report will be automatically closed. And that next report is the SLFRF 2025 annual project and expenditure report, and that will open on or around April 1st and is due April 30th, 2025. Well, what happens if there is continued noncompliance? When a noncompliant recipient doesn't resolve an instance of noncompliance, such as continuing to not submit a required report, Treasury has a number of remedies it can use to resolve the situation. These include, but are not limited to, terminating the SLFRF award, requiring the return of the SLFRF award funds, and reporting the recipient to SAM.gov. Based on the continued noncompliance, a recipient's future ability to receive federal financial assistance may be hindered due to not complying with the terms of their SLFRF award. The big thing is we want to continue to work with you before getting to this point so that we can prevent this worst case scenario. Okay, so now it's time to review. We've covered the following main topics in the non-compliance section. Your community is responsible as a steward of federal funds. We want to work with you to resolve instances of non-compliance. And if you continue to have instances of non-compliance, Treasury is required to take action to remedy the situation.
So imagine, if you will, that Treasury has determined your organization owes a balance and the payment has not yet been received through the non-compliance outreach mentioned. In this case, debt collection will begin. My presentation is pretty short, but this slide packs a lot. So this one-page graphic is a representation of the timing of your federal debt and daily increasing interest, penalties, and fees that would be charged. At the top with the arrow, we have an example case of an organization that owes $100,000 to Treasury. So you can see how quickly that balance changes as each phase continues. Turning our attention to the left side of the gray box, you see the pre-debt phase, which is essentially where the non-compliance team left off. Once efforts to resolve the non-compliant balance through the notice of recoupment and the time allowed outlined in that letter conclude, Treasury will establish a debt and issue a demand and due process letter. This letter is sent on day one of the debt collection process, the green box, both by email and mail. A 5% interest, which is the current value of funds, and a 6% penalty begin to accrue on this day. But the organization can pay back this balance in the first 30 days interest and penalty free. The interest begins to be added on a daily basis to the balance at day 31, the orange box. Also on day 31, a past due notice is sent via email and mail. Around day 60 to 90, Treasury will begin to make outbound phone calls to your organization to try to engage and resolve the debt. Interest continues to be added at day 60, a $25 administrative fee is added. On day 91, the 6% penalty begins to accrue, begins to be added to the balance and continues to be added daily. More importantly, on day 91, the debt is referred to Treasury's delinquent debt management service. When this referral happens, another $25 administrative fee is added for $50 total, but more importantly, a much larger 30% administrative fee is added to the top of principal and interest and penalty that continue to accrue. The delinquent debt management service will also issue its own notice of collection action. While delinquent, several actions may occur, including but not limited to private collection agency referral, automatic offset of future federal payments, and ineligibility to receive future federal funds. You can see with the balances in the example, the colored notes at the top, that before referral to delinquent debt management at day 91, the balance does not grow substantially. So we highly encourage all debtors to take advantage of the first 30 days interest penalty-free payment window before these charges occur, or to resolve it during the non-compliant phase. The box at the bottom is meant to stress and show some of the actions as a debtor that you can take while in federal debt collection. These include full or partial payment, disputing the debt if you have documentation to support your claim, requesting proof of debt documentation, requesting a compromise of the debt, or requesting to pay the debt over time by monthly installment. If an installment agreement is in place before day 60, your organization would only pay accruing interest and a small maintenance admin fee. If it's in place before day 90, prior to delinquent referral, your organization would pay the current penalty as well as accruing interest and admin fee. These plans are generally constrained to within a 3-year timeline. This slide is just a quick legal overview to reiterate the communications that you'll receive and some of the legal requirements. So first, collection of federal debt is legally mandated and must occur within strict timelines. Most of the parameters are not negotiable by the SLFRF team as these are federal-wide standards, including the assessment of interest and penalty, referral to delinquent collections after 90 days, and the need to serve due process in the first letter mailed on day 1. On this slide, you'll see each of the letters I described in the previous section and a recap of their purpose. The key takeaways really are avoid federal debt collection in so much as is possible for your organization. If a balance is due during the non-compliance phase, we urge you to pay this balance timely to avoid any and all interest, penalty, and escalating fees. Federal debt collection is mandatory and cannot be delayed once a debt is determined. By 91 days, charges of over 30% will be added to the initial balance and will continue to grow with each passing day. If your organization does find itself in federal debt collection, we have a few final tips. Ensure the SLFRF team has your correct and updated mailing address, as well as the best point of contact's email and phone number. Only one contact person can be assigned per debt. If your organization has financial concerns and cannot pay the debt in full, payment by installment is a possibility upon request and review of financial documentation.
The issue at hand is, Coalport Borough has received a non-compliance notice for non-reporting of grant funds granted to the municipality by the federal government. The grant awarded was $50,000 in the approximate year 2021. VPPNM has been trying to find out information from the receiver. The receiver is in non-compliance to a right-to-know law request. An appeal has been filed with the Office of Open Records for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for access to inspection of documents and financial records of the Borough of Coalport. For many years the borough has stonewalled and permitted inferior workers to manage the affairs of the Borough of Coalport. No bookkeeping for 3 years for financial records, non-compliance in grant requirements, no federal SAM number active, and many other vital needs of the borough. It is time for business-minded electorate to take the leadership in our time to ask the Honorable Court to remove Punxsutawney Phil from controlling the Borough of Coalport. Respectfully. Vision Press Production News Media.